I would bet that the majority of us have experienced bouts of laziness, which can end up impacting our work, personal lives, and our future goals. But the good news is that there are practical things that we can do to overcome laziness, and I'll be giving you 5 strategies to combat laziness in this video. I'm Priscilla, and on this channel I talk about personal finances, and while this video won't be solely dedicated to money, learning how to cultivate good habits and stop being lazy has helped me to manage my money well and make better financial decisions. I'm not trying to insinuate with this video that I'm perfect, I've arrived, I've figured it all out, and I never struggle with laziness anymore, because that's just not the case. I was actually inspired to make this video through reading Atomic Habits, which has helped transform my mindset on daily things that I can do to transform my habits little by little. I'm still on this journey to become more disciplined, and I'm sharing some things that I have learned so far that can hopefully help you too. The first strategy to stop being lazy is to be an early riser. I know we've probably all heard it before that we should wake up early, and I agree with this even though this isn't naturally my inclination. But waking up early has a lot of benefits, such as more time to yourself before you start your day and increased energy levels. But instead of focusing on why you should be an early riser, I want to give you some tips on how to actually become a morning person and reap those benefits. The first tip is to have a strong, motivating reason for why you want to wake up early in the first place. Are you trying to have time to work on your side hustle, to get a workout in, or to make and eat breakfast, or is it something else? This is important because when sticking to your routine becomes hard, you can remember why you even started to do this in the first place. And for me, my motivation to get up early is to have time to read my Bible and pray before I start my day. And this is really important to me because it helps me to start off my day at a slower pace, and then also it sets my mood and my mindset for the day ahead. So this 30 to 45 minutes is something that I guard very well, because I know that when I don't start my day off by reading the Bible and spending time with God and praying, that my day just kind of tends to go all over the place and I don't get as much done and it's not as productive. Next, stop rationalizing the decision. This is all about your mindset and how you talk to yourself. So set your intention the night before for what time you want to wake up in the morning, and then when your alarm goes off, get up. Just do it. There's no other easier way to put it. The more time you lay in bed thinking about whether or not you truly want to get up, the more likely it is that you will just stay asleep longer, at least if you're anything like me. And personally, I have not found some type of secret hack to help with this. If you have one, then comment down below and let me know, because I would love one to help with this. But I have just found that what works for me is just deciding to follow through with my intentions. The third tip is to minimize blue light exposure. The blue light in our laptops and phones can actually suppress melatonin, which makes it more difficult to get to bed, which in turn makes it more difficult to get up early. So if your device has a mechanism to turn off blue light, I would recommend taking advantage of that feature. But if not, you can purchase blue light blocking glasses. Like I have these ones here that I got from Amazon relatively cheaply, and I use these all day long since I work on my laptop a lot, and they have helped me so much. So I'll leave a link to these in the description box below if you'd like to check them out for yourself. The next strategy to combat laziness is to get organized. To be your most productive, it helps to have an outline of where you're headed and how you'll get there. This is so that you can hold yourself accountable to what you've said, because I think accountability plays a huge role in being disciplined. 2 things have helped me in this area. The first one is planning out my week day by day. So earlier this year, I started using a planner to do just that. And every Sunday or Monday night, I will take the time to write out the tasks I want to accomplish for every single day that week. And then I'll also set an overarching goal for that week. And I love this planner too because it has a section for habit tracking. So I can track my progress for each day toward the habits that I'm trying to build up. The second thing that has helped me in this area is to track my expenses. So I use the transaction tracker section of my Excel budgeting spreadsheet to help me keep track of my variable costs. So things like groceries, gas, dining out, etc. So I'll add in a screenshot of what my transaction tracker looks like so far in the month of February. And I like to lay it out like this because it helps me get a good idea of where exactly my money is going so that I'm not spending unnecessarily and can figure out where I need to cut back. And before I started tracking my expenses, I used to not be good at knowing where my money was going at all, and I would keep subscriptions that I actually never used because I honestly even just forgot that I had purchased them in the first place. So if you struggle with keeping track of your finances, then I actually have an entire video on my full monthly budgeting process, and I'll leave that video linked in the description box below. And I'll also leave a link to my Excel budgeting template. The third strategy to overcoming laziness is to keep a clean space. Being in an organized environment just helps me feel so much better about my life and less stressed out. The messier my apartment is, the more out of control I feel in my life. And a couple years ago, I was watching a video on YouTube and heard someone say that especially as a single or unmarried person, your goal should be to keep your house or apartment in such a state that if someone were to show up unannounced at your place, you would immediately let them in and you wouldn't feel embarrassed about showing them your space because you keep it in a neat state. It's one thing to keep your house clean for the sake of other people so you're not embarrassed when they come over, but I think it's a mindset shift to keep your house clean just because you deserve it for yourself to have a clean space to live and work in. And I know that everyone's situation is different and it's not always, feasible for everybody to keep their space well maintained all the time. But if you're in a spot in life where you're able to maintain your space well, then I highly encourage you to do so. The best way I've found to do this that works for me is to set a cleaning schedule. So for myself, I do a full run through of my apartment, top to bottom, and clean everything on Sunday afternoons. But during the week, I will clean various spaces as needed. For example, I clean my kitchen every single night, and I do the dishes every day. And doing the dishes daily before I go to bed is a habit I started a long time ago, and it's something that I really love because that way when I wake up, my kitchen is already clean, it's reset, and I don't have to start my morning by doing dishes. And then another thing I'll do daily is clean my workspace, so my desk. I'll pick up extra things so that when I go to start work in the morning, I don't have a whole bunch of random things laying around on my desk. And something that I started doing this year is keeping fresh flowers in my space as often as possible, and I just really love the way that they look, and I love the feel and the vibe that they give to my place. The next strategy to help you stop being lazy is to remove distractions, stop with excuses, and become an executor. There's a quote that says, "The greatest skill one can ever develop is reducing the time between idea and execution." And this is not to suggest that you should be hasty in making decisions. Instead, I think this quote is highlighting the issue of analysis paralysis. And let me give you an example. So imagine that you're looking for ways to increase your income and you decide to start an Etsy digital download store. And instead of starting the store, you continue in on the research phase and you watch people's success story videos. You watch videos about the best products to start selling as a digital download this year. You watch videos on niches that you should stay away from, niches that you should go into, but you never actually execute on your idea. Ultimately, this is only hindering your progress because you're stuck in the information stage. And while I do think there is a lot of value to learning and doing your research and due diligence before you start in on a project, there are some things that you cannot learn just simply by absorbing the information. There are some experiences that no matter how many videos you watch, you will only learn through execution. So no matter what it is that you're trying to achieve, make sure you have good systems set in place to keep you tracking towards your goals so you don't stay stuck and stagnant. When it's time for you to work on whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, make sure you set your intentions for your work session beforehand so that they are as productive as possible. And put away or silence your phone, and then also take breaks as needed. The next strategy to help you stop being lazy is to commit to a healthy lifestyle, including regular exercise and eating healthy, nutritious foods. I do want to add a disclaimer here that I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, and this is in no way medical advice. I'm just simply a believer that food is fuel and food can also be medicine, and how we treat our bodies is important. It's hard to be productive if you're not properly fueling your body with nutritious foods and taking care of it well. This is not to say that every single one of your meals throughout the entire week must be healthy. I personally think that a healthy lifestyle includes treat meals. Like for myself personally, I make sure that 80 to 90% of my meals throughout the week are made with highly nutritious foods and whole grains, and I prioritize fruits and vegetables. But for 10 to 20% of my meals, that's when I will eat like fried foods or highly processed foods. And for myself, I feel like I've personally come a long way in figuring out how to fuel my body and what works well for me, because for a long time I was eating foods that my body didn't necessarily react well to just because I really liked that particular food. For example, in recent years, I've developed a lactose intolerance, but I was still eating like dairy, yogurts, cheeses, and ice cream and all those things just because I loved those foods. But now I don't do that as much because every time I did eat those foods, I just felt like terrible afterwards and my body never reacted well to it until I just made the decision to cut back on dairy. So now I still do eat dairy, but in very small amounts. I know my limits and I just do not push past those anymore. I encourage you to pay attention to your body and any food sensitivities that you may have. And I believe that there are even food sensitivity tests that you can take at home to find out those food sensitivities if you want, but you don't have to take it that far if you don't want to. You can just pay attention to what your body reacts to well or doesn't react to well and experiment with different healthy foods and recipes to find out what works for you. Also, another tip is to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water. You probably already know that water helps a lot with our body functions and helps flush toxins out of our systems, and it also helps keep your skin looking good. So this is definitely something that I'm personally working on, but I keep my water bottle on my desk throughout the day to help remind myself to take frequent sips. And I've also taken a liking to drinking semi-hot water instead of cold water, because cold water just makes me feel like so chilly. But drinking the semi-hot water, especially with meals, I've found to help a lot with digestion. All right, so I actually have a little bonus tip for you on how to stop being lazy, and that is to make sure you're getting proper rest. So it's difficult to be disciplined or diligent if you're tired all the time. So for myself, one thing I've done to help with this is to implement a Sabbath, in that on Sundays, I just try to relax and not touch my work at all. So I'll go to church, I'll come home, I'll reset my apartment, but I won't have this giant to-do list on Sundays. That's the day that I like to keep for myself, and just spend that time relaxing and not being on my A game, not pursuing my to-do list. So I think there's definitely something to be said about taking time to slow down, intentionally resting so that you can reset your body and just be the best self that you can for your week ahead. I hope you found these strategies helpful. Remember that discipline is a habit and it takes time to build up. If you would like to read more about how to develop good habits and systems, I'll leave a link to the book Atomic Habits in the description section below. And if you have your own tips on how you overcome laziness, then comment those below so that we can all help each other out. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for weekly personal finance content. Thank you for watching.